It is the Hospitality Room presented by Mascot Media. Bobby Swofford, Blair Cartwright with you as always. Kind of mixing it up a little bit this week. It's the middle of the week. We hope everyone voted. Regardless of
Yes,
outcome, we hope you expressed your right to vote. The sun did come up today, so
it did.
it's a new world. Mr. Swofford, how are you today?
I'm good. I am actually proud of our state of Arkansas for option one. We'll say that. So, which was the taking scholar lottery
Oh,
money
yes.
and investing in trade schools and scholarships for people from our state. So, kudos
Yes.
to the natural state because that's obviously just common sense. Invest in yourself, people.
Common sense is not always
That's correct.
victorious, as
That
we
is
have
correct.
seen. And I'll tell you what, people may look down on the trade school folks. Look at what
Hmm.
they're making starting
Yeah,
salary as opposed to what a college graduate makes starting salary.
exactly.
It's not even close. It's
And
ridiculous.
now they get to leave college debt free. So even better for them.
Yeah,
Or
it's a
trade
win.
school. I guess not
It's a
call it
win.
college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
win-win. Yeah, not
Hmm.
and not everybody's going to go to college, but
Right. Nor should they.
no, no. I mean, it's like I don't know. I mean, what was your major by
Broadcast
chance?
journalism. That's
Okay,
broadcast. Yeah.
mine was radio TV, and it's
Hmm.
like here we are in
Yeah.
the hospitality room. It's like I
Yeah.
I could have learned I could have learned that all honesty at a
Hmm.
trade school. I could have learned it in 2 years probably.
Yeah. The first 6 years of out of college, I didn't use my degree, and now the last 4 years, I haven't used my degree. So
Yeah, you're not
I only used it for
defined by
10
your
years.
degree. Yeah,
Not
but
at
you're
all.
not defined by your degree, and
Yeah.
that's the crazy thing. So,
Yeah.
all right, that concludes our education segment of the hospitality room. All right, let's get to the headlines. Oh, piggy, piggy, piggy.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and some people will get into all the spin and stuff, but the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss is still yet to win a big game. I would not call Arkansas a big game, but home game, big crowd, egg laid again.
Again.
Holy
You
cow.
take out the you take out the Tennessee game, and Arkansas's last five home games have been embarrassing. Every one of them.
Bad. Yeah.
And granted, this year's home schedule is full of pretty good teams. We'll say that. Ole
Oh,
Miss is not a national championship contender, but they're still a pretty good team. What Arkansas has shown, Tennessee game excluded, is they can't compete with good teams. And I mean, that's just kind of who they are. That's who this coaching staff has allowed them to be. That's who the athletic department has allowed them to be. And I don't know. I mean, this is the whole insanity thing. You just do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. You're not going to get a different result with this team.
yeah.
The one thing that is just puzzles me beyond belief is Arkansas has struggled to stop the deep ball against everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they continually go out there and put less talented defensive backs against SEC receivers. And LSU kind of put them on display a little bit. Ole Miss took Arkansas, and I even skipped Mississippi State. Mississippi State torched Arkansas for some big plays too.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ole Miss just says, "Oh, we can do all that and a whole lot more." It was actually embarrassing to see what Arkansas secondary did or did not do in that game against Arkansas.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. Ole Miss is a one-trick pony on offense,
Mm-hmm.
and it's four
Chuck it deep.
plays, chuck it deep, go route, go
Mm-hmm.
route, go route, and that's. I
And
mean,
Arkansas didn't have an answer, and they didn't adjust. I think maybe that be the more maddening thing.
that,
It's
yes,
28-3 early second quarter, and Arkansas didn't change anything. Like you don't need to wait till halftime to understand. Hey, maybe we don't need to go one on the outside.
yeah. I mean, that's
Come
that's the
on.
thing that just it's like no, don't wait till halftime to
Yeah.
adjust. It's too late
Hmm.
because you can't score enough. I
Yeah.
mean,
It is
it's
bad.
just Every time the opportunity presents itself, here it is. Here it
Yeah,
is. Here's the spotlight. Take it. Take it. We drop it.
yeah. Fall on your face.
And maybe Tennessee's just not that good.
I know, but like they keep winning games. That's what's crazy. It's like they're not good, but they've only got one loss.
Yeah, but they're not. They were not the fourth best team in the country, and they're not the fourth best team in the country now.
No, they're not. But we're seeing it, and I think I've said it here before. Is
Mm-hmm.
this is like the worst year possible to expand the playoff because there are not 12 teams worthy. There may not be 4 teams worthy of being named a playoff team. But by
Yeah.
default, right now, because everybody else is bad, Tennessee's back up at number 7.
Well, and the other thing, everybody else is bad, and Arkansas still stinks.
Yeah, I didn't
I
say
mean,
that means Arkansas is better or closer to the top. They're just farther away from it.
they're just Midland. So, with that said, now what? I
Yeah.
mean, they're gonna beat La Tech. Now it'll probably take
Mm-hmm.
5 overtimes. They're a better team than La Tech, but they'll play down to them because they play. Well, this was the
Mm-hmm.
one game they didn't play the level of competition. They'll go to a bowl. I
Yeah.
mean, Hunter sent the email. They don't have any money.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to pay off Sam. You can't fire a coach that went to a bowl. I mean, you can, but they're
You
not.
can.
Let's face it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I I think what you do is you go 6-6. You're going to go to the Poulan Weed Eater Bowl and play Northern Illinois for whoever the case may be. So you're going to have a 7-6 record, but during that stretch, right after the Missouri game, which you assume is going to be another lopsided loss because Arkansas can't play against Missouri and Drinkowitz. Your 100-year chick, you go to Sam Pittman, like, hey Sam, we're not going to fire you, but you're going to resign or retire. We're going to pay you X number of dollars under the table. It's not going to be your full buyout. We're going to bring in Barry Odom. Odom, you're going to keep Bobby Petrino. You're going to keep Travis Williams. We're not going to pay their buyout. You hired Petrino at UNLV anyway, so he's a guy that you like.
mm-hmm.
Williams is a pretty decent defensive coordinator. At least he showed it in one game. And we're going to try to fix this thing with most of the pieces intact. At least your 2 coordinators, a new leader, and you hope that gives a bolster to recruiting.
But is it realistic to hire a head coach and tell him you can't make any staff changes? These are your 2 coordinators.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But the previous relationship that Odom had with Petrino, I think that would help. Also, if you tell Odom, hey, if you keep Petrino, that means you're probably going to be able to keep Taylor Green. There's been some upside there. Maybe you like the idea of that, especially with all the drama that he had at UNLV with quarterback this year. And then, the Travis Williams thing, okay, maybe he decides to walk. Because if you're Barry Odom, you can come and say, hey, you're the defense coordinator, but I'm going to call the plays. And maybe that
Mm-hmm.
takes him off, or maybe he decides to leave on his own.
Yeah.
And obviously, position coaches, I mean, their salary in the grand picture, the grand scheme of things, is not that much. And so you can afford to bring in your own assistants, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I could see that. Yeah, it's kind of interesting dynamic because Odom's OC now is the hot go offense guy.
Yeah.
Though he did try to hire Petrino. It's intriguing, but something tells me Pittman's not going to walk away.
Yeah, he might not. And then that whole scenario is blown up. And if he says, no, I'm not ready to, I think I've got another good year in me. Look how close we were against A, B, and C. And then you say, okay, then your 100-year check. And then you said, okay, what can we do? Like Tyson and Stevens are now tied up with what's going, and Walmart are now tied up, and all their money is going to basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You got to call JB Hunt probably, or somebody else in the state that says, hey, can you help us fix football?
Yeah, I don't know if you can raise enough money to fix football, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, part of why you didn't sack him last year was because you didn't have the money to pay him off and hire a new staff. So I don't know if they're going to have the money. Plus, you got the 22 mil you're on the hook for. The timing is not good, and they're struggling mightily to raise money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is as long as they're pulling a top 30 recruiting class, which they've done every year under Pittman, you got to believe, okay, it's not affecting us. Having him as our head coach is not affecting us in the big picture. We're just not winning close games. And ultimately, I mean, I truly believe that they just don't have players. It's not that Sam Pittman's not a good coach. They're obviously competing against some pretty good teams. They just
Mm-hmm.
don't have the elite players. And I don't know that Arkansas has ever had the elite players, nor will they
Mm-mm.
ever get the elite players.
No, no. Arkansas' success has come on development and out coaching other teams.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing development. Well, and I've been thinking about this. Granted, and Pittman had the line, great value line, and blah blah blah, which probably not a smart thing to say, especially when you're wearing a microphone and it's being recorded. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his thing when he was hired, recruit, great recruiter, developer of offensive lines. And
Yeah.
those are the two biggest deficiencies this program has had under his watch, I think. Recruiting has not been good, but especially the offensive line. I mean, they have whiffed for 4 years, for the most part, on offensive line big time. They
Yeah.
haven't elevated who they've had. Which
Yeah.
if he's a guru, why haven't they gotten better? And I understand NIL, but in a way that's an excuse because kids were going to play for Saban at Alabama because he could get them to the league, and that's where let's face it, that's where the paycheck is, the
Mm-hmm.
league. It's not NIL. I mean, if it's all about the NIL bag, you're probably not a pro player. I mean, let's face it, the bigger checks down the road.
Yeah.
No one's coming to be coached up by the guru.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And one thing, and the big picture is always a little better when like this in-state talent is good, which
Mm-hmm.
I think high school football in Arkansas is in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
But none of them, they're not going to Arkansas. I've got the 24/7 college rankings pulled up right now. It's got the top 16 players in the state for the 2025 class. Top three: LSU, Oklahoma, Oklahoma.
Ooh.
Two of them are safeties. I mean, that's not a good look for the state of Arkansas. So you got Grayson Wilson, so the highest rated player in the state who's going to Arkansas. He's number 30 at his position, the quarterback who plays at Conway, transferred from CAC. But then you've
Mm-hmm.
got a running back from Bryant who's committed to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then you've got a pair of kids who are Razorbacks. And you've got another athlete from Newport who just decommitted from Penn State. Arkansas's not on the radar. And then you've got Louisiana Tech, Kansas State, Tulsa, UNLV also to round out your top 16. So of the top
Yeah.
16 recruits in the state of Arkansas, only 4 are committed to play at Arkansas. That's a problem.
Oh, big time. Because most of those kids, would they not, are more likely to stay and develop.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you have so many areas of need. I mean, you can't tell me the top two safeties in this state can't help this football program.
Oh, they're offered. They're just not coming. Little
Yeah.
Rock, Parkview, and Bauxite going to
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Whew, which, um,
They could use
they're
some
not.
safety help too, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's like, but then again, you think these kids coming up now in high school, hey, they don't remember the Cotton Bowl
No, Lord,
win
no.
over Kansas State. They've
No.
never seen Arkansas have success. I mean, let's take the COVID year out. You had the oldest team in the country. And speaking of oldest team in the country, Indiana, who has it this year, you're seeing what they
Mm-hmm.
do. We'll see if they do it long term. But kids still want to get to the league and they want to win.
Yeah. And there's enough Razorback players in the NFL. It's not a deterrent. Like Arkansas's putting Bielema put a ton of Razorbacks in the NFL, and they're still
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's I just don't know that Sam Pittman is resonating with the 16 to 18-year-olds anymore. Not that maybe that he was in the first place. I don't think that playing in the state of Arkansas and going to play for the Hogs is a big deal for these kids. because
No.
because everybody is a national brand. You don't have to stay close to home. And honestly, I think some of it is fatigue. They see what happens when you go play for the Hogs and you don't pan out and you turn into a bust. The entire state turns on you. And if you're from the state, like, why would you want to put yourself through that?
Yeah, I mean it is a double-edged sword. The kids that they get in state, we've talked about this on this show before. A lot of them don't pan out. Why that is, I don't know. But we're not seeing anybody develop. I mean, the kid kicking for the Lions, kicking field goals,
Yeah,
all he did was kick off. He wasn't even
yeah.
kicking field goals. I mean, it's like no one is developing. Who is going to the? It's just even my dogs are upset. It's just it's maddening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't get it. So looking ahead to next year, the top 7 players in the state of Arkansas, none of them have committed to the Hogs
I mean that's just unbelievable. That's not good.
yet.
And I know for a fact, having to talk to some former lettermen, they have tried to contact this staff and say you might want to look at this kid, you might want to look at that kid,
Yeah.
and they can't get a response from them. And when you're not listening to your former players, who we've been told have been told to stay away, I mean it's just not good. Not good at all. You can't treat this like Georgia where you can just go out and cherry pick, recruit and whatnot. You,
Right.
there's got to be more to it. But not, and all these rumors that something was afoot. Let's face it, nothing's going to happen till after next week because there's nothing like who to get everybody in this state riled up.
Yeah, no, you're right. So
So,
you had Texas lurking, and
whew,
we can have to talk about it.
yeah, we'll have plenty to talk about then. All right, moving on. Hey, college football. Shut up. College football rankings debuted last night. And obviously, Leo was very upset about it as we take a look at it.
Uh,
What jumped out at you? Anything surprising?
Not really. I mean, just with everything, the way things have kind of panned out. Obviously, as poorly as Texas A&M played a week ago, you knew they were going to tumble, and it's good to see that they took them all the way out because I mean, you lose by 3 touchdowns, they don't deserve their. I mean, but realistically, I mean, that's kind of what you would expect, especially when you add the conference champions have to go on the 1 through 4 lines. The Big 12 fell apart last week in the most inopportune time ever. Uh, but I mean, so if the playoffs started today, though, that's a pretty intriguing bracket. Of course, you
Oh,
got to
isn't
love the
it?
Alabama. You got to love the Alabama Texas matchup and the first round. Indiana, we're going to find out about who they are next week, and if they happen to beat Ohio State, things can get really really crazy. And I think things are going to start to shuffle out anyway. Miami SMU in an ACC championship game could be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
As long as SMU keeps winning, they're going to keep moving up, and they may make their way into that playoff. And the one you got to throw the fly on the ointment, if we can still line from our CBS brethren,
Yes.
our Army Notre Dame coming up. That could be that
Ooh.
game could have a huge impact on the playoff rankings as well.
Yeah. Now, were you a little surprised? 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten,
Yeah,
1 Big 12, 1 ACC, 1 from the group of 5, I guess we're still calling them, and Notre Dame.
yeah, yeah. No, not as dominant as the Big Ten and the SEC, and as top heavy as they are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's surprising enough because you look at the top 25 rankings, and I know that the writers are lazy and they don't really have a good grasp of who's really great in the country anyway. But the eye test tells you that Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State are all pretty good, and the eye
Mm-hmm.
test tells you that Tennessee, Georgia, Texas is pretty good, and then you start to expand it a little more. And like, oh yeah, Alabama, they're not bad either. Oh yeah, Indiana's undefeated. Didn't even mention them. And so it's easy to see how you could get 4 from both of those conferences. And honestly, you're not far from getting 5 from both of those because SMU and Texas A&M fall into those 2 leagues as well.
Now, does BYU get the bye as the Big 12 champion? Is that what they're projecting here?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what the gold number is, the projected conference champions, and that's why Boise State
Okay.
has the gold number there as well. Because even if
Okay.
Boise State was like number 22 or whatever, they would fall into that window as well.
Okay.
They don't have to be number 12 to get in.
No. Well, and
Yeah.
I don't. If I'm the 5, I don't know that I'd want Boise to be the 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
But it is interesting. Is okay. You look at Texas, their quality win. If you really break down their schedule, their best win on the road at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So a lot's going to play out over the next 3 weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
is this? Does the playoff ultimately though eliminate the, and I don't think it'll happen, but eliminate the need for the conference championship game, which is a huge moneymaker for the conference,
Yeah.
but it's going to cost somebody because how do you take a team, because the SEC is going to have a boatload of 2 lost teams.
Mm-hmm.
So if you lose the championship game and you drop to 3 losses, how do you take that team over a 2 loss team over here?
Yeah, no, I think I truly think, especially once these conferences start to go to 9 conference games, I don't know the need of it because exactly what you're talking about. So what happens? I based this whole scenario on Texas A&M not getting blown out by South Carolina, but what
Mm-hmm.
happens if so? So you've got a one-loss Texas versus a one-loss Texas A&M. The
Mm-hmm.
loser of that game is now sitting at home 10-2, and the winner is going to be 11-1. And what happens when they get beat by Georgia? By 25, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden now they're 11-2 versus a 10-2, but the 10-2 is going to move up in the rankings because they weren't blown out. So they got to sit at home while somebody else got the brains beat in, and they're going to benefit from it. I think the conference championships are probably going to start going by the wayside. I don't know if it's an immediate thing, but the next 4 to 6 years, I really think that these leagues are going to recognize we're just giving one of our better teams an extra loss for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, well, but they're making so much money off that championship game. Is it enough
Mm-hmm.
to offset that? Because, I mean, that's the whole reason they created it was
Yeah.
money. And as some columnists
So,
figured out, the playoffs all about money. So,
so let me paint this picture. So Texas beats A&M. They roll
mm-hmm.
into the conference championship game 11-1, and they get blown out by Georgia again.
Yeah.
And so they're now 11-2 with their only 2 losses being to Georgia, who presumably is going to be the number 2
Yeah.
team in the country at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both by
Bad
multiple
loss.
touchdowns,
Yeah.
bad losses. You could almost consider yourself like this team doesn't deserve to be in the playoff. They can't compete with the best teams in the country.
Yeah. Because you'd only have one quality win. Well, maybe
Yeah.
2, depending on where A&M finishes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the A&M win, I mean, it may ultimately be Vanderbilt. Leo, shut up. Is their best win
Yeah.
still at the end of the year?
I mean, so you've got A&M right now at 7-2, and so say Texas beats them, they're now 7-3. Is how good of a win is that? They've got 3 losses at that point.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know. I mean, the tiebreaker, I don't know how they figured it out for the SEC champion, but it's going to come into play because it's
Mm-hmm.
conceivable you could have 5 SEC teams with 2 losses in
Yeah.
conference. I mean, it'll make for compelling TV, but who was it a few years ago? You're almost better off not going to the championship game because then you don't have to risk another loss
Yeah.
and you just hold. You're holding on
Half the league,
17.
half the league has 2 losses or less right now.
That's
So 8 of the
crazy.
16 teams are 3-2 or better.
Does going to a 9-game schedule eliminate some of that?
You've got to put some kind of structure into it. You can't do what they're doing this year and next year with the NFL format of, oh, you've been good, so you're going to play this group. You're going to have to split it up. Say, okay, you're going to play this pod or this division, and you'll play so and so in the championship game. Because the whole idea of, say, Oklahoma is not going to make a bowl game this year because obviously they've had a lot of success in the Big 12. And so the SEC says, you know what? You get Tennessee, Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Alabama, LSU all in the same season.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the SEC. Like doing that is not I'm not going to say it's not fair because nothing in life is fair, but like it's not a balanced schedule for somebody like Oklahoma as opposed to an Arkansas who's playing this year's schedule of only playing 3 decent teams in the league.
Yeah. Well, but that's also a result of the expansion which you did to increase your TV revenue because TV wants the marquee games.
Yeah.
And that's what they're paying you for. I mean,
Yeah, but then again, you look at Texas. So Oklahoma and Texas are coming from the same conference.
mm-hmm,
Texas obviously in the playoff a season ago, and all they give them is, of course, they play Oklahoma, which I didn't even include Texas in Oklahoma's argument. You get Georgia and Texas A&M, the only 2 tough conference games on the
mm-hmm.
schedule for Texas. And obviously Vanderbilt's a lot better this year than most people expect them to be. But
Yeah.
realistically, they gave Texas 2 tough games, and they gave Oklahoma 5 or 6.
Yeah. You know what would be wild? If Vanderbilt wins out, beats Tennessee, hey, they may be in Atlanta. They may be in the playoff. I mean, how do you keep them out with 1 loss or 2 losses?
Yeah.
Georgia State and Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be.
They got 3 losses right now.
Okay, who else did Vandy lose to?
Missouri by field goal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So they have 3 losses this year by a combined 10 points.
And that's Missouri's best win.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah,
They close with LSU, Tennessee. If they beat LSU and Tennessee and South Carolina this week, and they get to 9-3, build Clark Lee a statue.
Oh yeah, yeah, no question. Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I forgot about that Missouri game. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's delivered. It has delivered without question. All right, let's jump to the NFL real quick. It was the NFL trade deadline yesterday. Pretty dull.
Yeah, we build up the NFL trade deadline all the time, and we get more player trades than we used to because there used to be none. But there wasn't a lot of movement. I think the Commanders made themselves a lot better by getting Marshawn Lattimore, the defensive back from the Saints. But other than that, I mean, the Cowboys overpaid for a receiver who has 1 catch in the last 4 games. But, I mean, realistically, there wasn't a lot of movement.
No, most of the moves were made last week. But okay, Dak's going on IR. He's going to be out for 4 weeks. Why are you trading for a receiver?
Yeah. And
why are you giving up more for a receiver than you got for Amari Cooper?
Yeah.
I mean,
a 4th-round pick for a guy who has 1 catch in the last month.
Yeah, I mean but that's the Cowboys. Nothing they do makes a lick of sense.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's why McCarthy's going to be out of a job. Obviously, his contract's up. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Zimmer's not going to be retained as defensive coordinator, even though the injuries have riddled them more than really so than his defensive play calling. And so now you're going to hit the reset button with a huge cap hit of Dak, a huge cap hit of CeeDee Lamb, a huge question mark on what you're doing with Micah Parsons. It's a disaster. I mean, Cowboy fans right now should be really, really frustrated. And I know they have been for a decade with Jerry Jones and the decisions he made. But they took a team that was close to being a legit contender in the NFC to being a cellar dweller in the matter of 6 months.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. Saints fired Dennis Allen, so who's next? Who's next to go?
Can the Patriots fire their coach right now?
No, they won't.
They won't. That's a good question. I think that some coordinators' heads will roll. I saw the Vegas already fired their offensive coordinator.
That'll help.
That's a good question. Yeah, their pink slips are coming.